Hi everyone, this is In the Middle with Kes and Jamie.
Hey guys.
Hey, how you guys doing? Hope everything's well on your end. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good if I can get my hair right. Anyway.
Well, the first world problems of Jamie. Yeah, and this is how we're going to start the show.
There's a long list. We'll do a whole other episodes.
Yeah, what's wrong with Jamie? It's his hair today.
Yeah.
No, well, we're just going to have to plow through that.
Got to deal with it.
Plow through that.
So while we're plowing through that, I'll make sure that you hit subscribe and go right below, and also hit that bell. Make sure that you're notified whenever we have a new episode coming up. So with that, let's get started.
Ooh, okay. So, we've got some kind of I think this episode is going to hit home for us. We're going to be discussing interesting things that have to do with health and eating and cooking and buying cooked food and prepping it and so on and so forth. So a lot of stuff that we have gone through, and I think a lot of people, I think you guys have gone through it too, during the pandemic. Well, I wanted to say due to the pandemic, but it turned out to be due.
So, but during the pandemic, it is how we've all kind of changed either our diet or the ways that we've either improved or worsened our diet and habits.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about some of those things that we've found that are useful for us, and things that are working and that may not be working, and maybe want to hear from you about things that you have found that have been useful and productive for you in your weight loss and also weight control.
Yeah. Hopefully you can recommend things for us, because I think we're going to be eager to try something that worked for someone.
Please help us.
Help! All right. Before I start singing through the whole show, let's talk about cooking. I think we've discussed cooking a little bit over the past few shows, but I think that we really want to dive in and have a fuller discussion about cooking. Now, I have generally always cooked. And
I have generally never cooked. So.
Yes, which is quite interesting, because to me, the concept of not cooking at all is mind-blowing. I don't understand how that's possible. I've always cooked, even you start with the basics, and when I lived in university I cooked, and you eat out a bit, but a lot of it's still at home because it's cheaper that way. And then
Is it?
Well, I don't know. I do, find that even the basic, spaghetti and cheese or macaroni and cheese would be easier to do at home than to buy in a store. Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Well,
I've never
talk about some of
actually
those things.
per se have compared this. Have you? I don't know.
Well, I mean, we've talked about that. I never had really cooked anything during the pandemic, or before the pandemic, I should say. And during the pandemic, I've been watching on Create TV and everything else, and PBS and everything, all these other kind of Rachel Ray, and so all these cooking shows. I'm like, and then finally one day, light bulb went off about 10 months into this thing. It's like, hey, wait, I'm going to try this. And so I did, and I've been cooking some things that from the TV shows and the books that
I can do it.
Plenty of books. And so I've been watching these TV shows and also calling my mom and getting family recipes and doing these things, and kind of so it's been kind of a interesting family thing, that even though my family's in Tennessee and I'm far away from them and I'm not able to go see them all the time now. It's given me something to do with my mom and connect with my parents with food.
Which you mentioned, during Christmas especially.
Yeah.
It was one of the things to be close to your
Yeah,
family.
it has been. But going back to your question about is it cheaper? Quite frankly, while I've been doing this, before, we always went down to the local grocery store and we would just buy whatever, they had pre-prepared foods, meals, and so we just ate that from that. And cooking just was not our thing. Cleaning is our thing, but cooking is not our thing. So,
it's not a bad habit to have to clean.
Look at the house. But anyway, but it was one of those things that I've noticed is whenever I go and get all the ingredients that I need for these meals, I mean, it's not cheap. I'm like, God. And so I wonder if it's really being cheaper to just go ahead and buy it.
I think the reason for you why that is becoming more expensive or has been more expensive to your, I think, outlook is because normally, well, say for instance in my house, I have a lot of ingredients, like a lot of spices already. I have certain, so you already have it. It's not like I'm starting from scratch. So I think when you start cooking, if you've never cooked before, so the beginning of the process will turn out to be a little bit more expensive, only for the pure reason of the fact that you don't have a lot of things and you have to buy all of the ingredients from scratch. I don't have to buy pepper every time. I don't have to buy some kind of I actually have quite a lot of peppers. I have chili, powders. I have them in all sorts of ways. Then there's mixes of colored ones. There's a lot of things that you would want to have if you're going to go into cooking properly. But so I don't have to go each time and buy tomato paste, for instance. I don't have to go and buy olives all the time. So I have kind of a lot of foods that are there already, ingredients that I will need to cook. So I think it might be an expensive from the beginning for anyone who's starting, but overall, if you're going to continue, you are just going to be buying little ingredients. Or chicken, for instance, will be eventually the meal that you're going to cook from that will be cheaper than buying the ready one.
Yeah.
Well, so those are their options.
But food. But we're lucky here in the United States because food is so cheap compared to other places in the world, and so we're very, very fortunate in our agriculture community and everything else. The industry has really, really made sure that we have cheap food. So that's, and I'm not making light of that. I mean, having worked in politics all these years and having known what agriculture, and coming from an agricultural family, I mean, how important this is to us, and so how lucky we are. So I just wanted to point that out. But I do want to point out one thing. If you want to go cheap, all you need, if you're going to be doing Southern cooking, you just need flour, butter, milk, eggs, maybe some baking soda, and that's about it. And you mix all those things up, and you've got whatever you need. You pretty much have everything.
Really need to put anything else. Just
you've got sugar, flour, and milk. And eggs, you've got a Southern meal. So
so definitely talking about diet. This is FYI, not for diet. That's
the reason why we all look like we do.
Oh, God. But anywho, I think that there's the good thing that came out of this this time and period when a lot of people are staying home is the fact that they're cooking more, and a lot of people turn into cooking not only because they want to maybe necessarily change up what they're doing in sense of their food, but I also think it's more of an experience. So people are starting to get to do it together with their partners, wives, family members, and it's more of an entertainment to make sure that everybody is sort of together, instead of sitting there trying to go, do you want to play Monopoly again? And I'm like, oh, come on, Monopoly
or watching a damn TV show, or staring at a computer screen for something else. But what also, the other thing too it's brought for me is giving me a sense of accomplishment.
There you go.
So that's the other thing that it's brought me. It's like, oh, look, hey, I can do this. And so it turns out, hey, I can do this, and you can too, because if I can do it, and I haven't burnt anything or burnt down the house yet. So hey, I'm doing great.
And I've tasted some of the delicious desserts that you've done, so they're really good. So definitely improvement from nothing to desserts. Desserts are not easy.
Recipes from Mama.
Yeah. I have gone to a slight opposite because I normally cook and would cook, and my son is a growing young man, and he is into eating a lot. So he's constantly hungry, and he's one of those people that doesn't want to eat the same food sort of 2 days in a row. So we always have to change it up a bit. So there was a point in time after, 6 months into this pandemic, staying at home and cooking, I got so tired. I mean, I have ordered like extra, on top of the cooking books that I have, I ordered another 3 or 4, having to go through them and having to, just pick out what we're going to do today, to give me some ideas, because I ran out of ideas. I mean, we've, the standard normal food that we would do, rotate, and so had to come up with new things. But then I got even tired from that. Thankfully, Tim has picked up some cooking, so he's able to cook something for himself too. Yeah. And he actually also uses the books. He actually became a better steak maker than I had. Well, he makes steak much better than I do.
It becomes like a challenge and so forth. And a lot of these things for
me,
as
a
guy thing, I mean, it's kind of like figuring out a puzzle. And it's like, and putting all the degrees and putting all the puzzles together.
Oh, the competition. This is why it's a challenge. I just picked up on that. I'm sorry. I didn't realize. It's truly a guy thing.
Hello. Have you met one of us?
Yeah, well, you know what?
It's all about the
Sometimes-
competition. It's all about the competition.
Sometimes I forget. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, well, anyway, so.
But anywho, I think that the good thing that came out of it is a lot more people are actually cooking at home,
Right.
cooking as families, cooking for family members. I know that a lot of people start cooking and sort of sharing that in the neighborhood,
Right.
so that's beautiful. A lot of people are actually looking and using resources that are free, so there's plenty of videos, step-by-step videos that people can use to make a product from scratch, to make a meal from scratch, which I think is amazing.
Yeah,
so you don't have to really invest a lot.
And it's a good way to eat healthily, more healthfully than we
Yeah,
have, you know.
and I think this actually brings another thing into it, is that people are starting to understand what food is. You know, what it is in the sense of what's healthy or what's not, you know, where, you know, what to work with. Then you start changing white bread into whole grain bread, for instance. You know, you are starting to use different oils instead of simply using sunflower or canola oil. You start using avocado oil, for instance. You know, there's plenty of things like that, and people
Right.
are starting to learn things like that, pick up on those things.
Broaden their horizons.
Absolutely.
Broaden their
Wouldn't
palates.
absolutely, which is amazing
So-
because, you know, you then are able to differentiate what goes into you, which is actually extremely good for your health, because the more differences you give, actually we're going to almost slide into our next
into it.
topic, because dieting and health eating, because basically the more differences you give, your palate opens up, there's the juices that come out. Your brain has to almost think of what it is that it's
The enzymes,
working
the
through.
endorphins, and those
Yeah,
kinds
I
of
mean,
things
there's
that
a
are
lot
kinda
of
like
science
stimulating.
behind it.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, many years ago, after I had Timmy, I put on a little weight, and actually I lost a lot of weight, but then I put it back on again, and
Yeah,
I did the
found it.
whole. And it's always actually so funny. So somebody around, you know, amongst my friends or my sister, they would lose, I will put on, and I'm like, what is this? The planet's trying to make it fair. Somebody has to lose, somebody has to pick it up, and I feel like I'm always picking up for my friends. They're all
It's weight
losing.
ping pong.
And yes, to make sure that it's yin yang, you know, everything's balanced out. Apparently, I'm on the end of picking everything up. So, but dieting and healthy eating has also become a very big thing.
Yeah.
I know that you've had experience with various dieting options.
And this has been, okay, this is where people are going to hate me. It's like, you deserve what you get. I've been one of those people that all my life I could eat whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, as much as I wanted, and I never gained weight.
Ugh, lucky you.
Yeah. You can start slapping me now. Anyway, so, but don't forget to hit like. Anyway, so.
If you want me to hit him, I'll do it, just for the like.
You usually are after when camera's off anyway. I'm going, no, don't hit me. Anyway, I never did have to worry about my weight, but as I've hit 55 plus, and now, you know, my body's changing, and I'm having to be very, very careful about what I eat and what I'm putting in my body, how much I'm putting in my body. And even, this is the other thing too, I noticed I've been eating much more healthily, but I haven't really cut down the quantity. So even though I'm eating better, I'm still eating too much of it. Yeah, and so I've really had to change the way I've looked at food and be much more aware of it. And I tell you what, okay, yeah, it sucks, man. I mean, I hate this do you know how quickly you get to 2,000 calories a day? I kept up, kept a diary of how much I was eating. I'm like, oh my God, like it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I've already hit 2,000 calories.
I'm going to start crying in a minute. It's a sad story.
Whatever. I know, it's like, no, help me. Anyway, so I tried back in the spring when the pandemic hit, and I got up to about 230, and which was about 30 pounds too much, 35 pounds too much. And I
love your honesty. You're not going to get that honesty from me.
No, and I'm 6'1", just, and so I'm 5'8". I'm 5'2".
I can share that.
No, I'm 6'1", but I'm putting it on right here, and I cannot. I mean, it's like, what do you do? Anyway, so I started doing intermittent. My trainer told me about intermittent fasting. And that really worked, and I lost the weight, and it came off, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it looked great.
It was good, and then guess what? I found it all back, and now I'm having a hard time.
Hold on, you found it all back because you stopped.
Yeah.
So that's
because
you see,
I look good. Because I look good, and so I stop.
Well, you see, I think this is what a lot of people don't understand. The word diet, actually, from as far as I remember, comes from a Greek word of a lifestyle. So I think in the modern world, it has been interpreted as some kind of restriction. So whenever we hear word diet, and I think whenever you are being told you need to go on a diet, as a matter of fact, you really should be changing your lifestyle. So you should be changing what exactly you were saying. You should be changing, going from butter and flour to maybe less butter, less flour, maybe a little bit more fruit and a little bit more vegetables. So that kind of concept. So the idea is not to really, and I think this is a lot of people don't quite get it, but I think now with the pandemic, people are becoming more and more aware. We're not talking about limiting yourself with food for 3 months, because if you are in 3 months, yes, you might lose the weight, but then if you go back to what you've been doing before, which is the case here and the case here, you will put the weight back on. And a lot of the time, the dangerous part comes is the fact that you put more on than you've lost.
Because I'm back up to the same weight I was back when I first started before. So I'm back up to 230. So I'm trying to lose this weight. But I did go to the doctor last week just for my annual physical, and I talked to my doctor, my physician, and he did say, we talked about my weight and so, my frustration I've had with getting older and putting on this weight and so forth. And what he told me was you need to take you need to take 300 to 500 calories out of your daily diet. And I asked him, what do you mean out of the recommended 2,000 calorie diet per day? He said, no. He said, whatever you're eating right now, I didn't want to tell him how much. Whatever you're eating right now, reduce it by 300 to 500 calories, and you will lose 2 to 5 pounds a month.
Which is great.
Which is great for every month. And he said, you'll get down your weight. But the best part is it's sustainable and your body does it gradually, and it's not something that yo-yos and so forth, which is what someone...
You see, the interesting part about the yo-yoing, the whole idea, I'm going to go back to the fact that it should be a lifestyle, is because at the end of the day, what happens is your brain, and again, it's a whole, world of science behind it, but your brain and your body constantly wants to go to the highest weight you've had, because it's the comfortable weight where the body doesn't have to worry that it feels safe. Right. So that's why the bigger problem is to do it slowly. Right. You have to do it slow. This way you are giving, and a lot of the times, I don't know if you've noticed it, I've definitely have noticed it, that when I have been changing my diet and losing weight, there is a time of plateau that you've lost weight, you've lost certain number of weight, and then you hit the plateau and nothing happens, even though you're continuing to be very aware of what you're eating, making sure that you're eating properly, but unfortunately plateaus. Now, this is the best time for the body, because that's the time when the body is recalibrating and it goes to the point, this is my comfortable biggest weight. And this is the lovely part, because then you just continue to go with what you've done. Right. Now, I think I wanted to talk to you about several things that are out there in the market to help people with it, because I have tried several. And I'm actually just legitimately, this middle of this week, started this new thing. I've been doing a lot of research. There's plenty of options of meals delivered to you. Mm-hmm. Now, there are meals that are ready and come in and you just have to heat them up. And they can pre-packaged, pre-cooked. Yeah. All you have to do is just heat it up. And again, a lot of the companies that are out there, they're offering things like keto diet, if you want to keep the keto diet, because a lot of those diets sometimes are complex, so you have to, and why a lot of people stop doing them is because it takes a lot of time for preparation, finding and
then the simplicity is what's going to make it more sustainable.
Exactly. And so paleo is another diet that there's just clean food diet where you just have the nutrition's all working on making that meal. It's all balanced out. It gives you like 500 calories per meal. So basically there are plenty of options, and there are some options that you have the meal that comes to you need to cook it. Everything's there, the ingredients are all there. So there are many options that you can do. I have recently started using this trifecta one, which is a meal that comes in and it's ready. And all you have to do is just heat it up. And actually, I have to tell you, I was surprised, because this is my second try of something similar. Mm-hmm. I tried Neutrogena, Nutrisystem, didn't work for me.
Well, the Neutrogena will look great on our skin.
Yeah, Neutrogena, yeah. Sorry, that's exactly what it was. Like, why did I mix it up? Yeah, no, I wasn't eating cream.
Delicious.
Oh, yay. Whoa.
Not just warming your face, but
Sorry, yeah, but Nutrisystem, it didn't work for me. I didn't like it. It was just a food that was never really up there for me. It just didn't go. I didn't, I didn't like it. And again, because I think it was very Americanized, if you wish, with the foods that I would normally never eat.
Right.
So that was something I didn't like. But this trifecta thing is seems to be very easy, very comfortable, delivers every week, however many meals you want, so you can choose a system, and it's amazing.
What I found is looking at those, because I'm about to start on some of those ourselves, and one of the things that we've been talking about doing, obviously we're talking about losing weight, is trying some of the different things and how that's going to work for us and so forth. So we'll keep you posted on how those look and what the kind of results that we're getting from those. And we're not recommending anything. We're just telling you the story about how it works for us and what doesn't work for us. The fasting, intermittent fasting thing was great. The other thing too, I just want to go back real fast, that I thought was great. My trainer told me, he said, you cut it down. Intermittent fasting, just for those people out there that don't understand, intermittent fasting is you only eat during a certain period during the day, and that's it. You don't eat anything else outside that period. And it's a 6 to 8 hour window.
I think there are more than that. There's like a 24, there's 12, there's 16.
You work your way up to
on,
it, but
yeah.
the goal is to get it down to 8, if not 6, or maybe even a little bit shorter. That's your window that you eat. But what he told me is like, you can eat anything you want to in that period. It's like, Now I don't think that you need to go and eat 15 Big Macs or something like that. but and just gorge yourself in food. But it was that freedom to know that's like, oh, I can pretty much eat anything I want and so forth. But then you start going, you start becoming less hungry.
Well, yeah, because at some point you kind of really teach yourself. It's all about making sure that you are comfortable with what you're doing, that you've been able to satisfy you with the foods that you like. You have to eat what you like. Otherwise, you end up being not only hungry, but you're always like,
there's something.
What is this stuff that I want? And so at some point, it breaks you and it becomes stronger than you, and then you end up going into your fridge in the middle of the night, going.
And a lot of people, and I'm a big eater at night. That's the other thing too. I've never been a big breakfast eater, and so I could wait.
See, I've taught myself the opposite.
Really? I've all my life I've never been a big breakfast person, but so is my trainer. He's a big big eater at night. And so we just adjusted our times to whenever it was. So that's why I'm going back into the intermittent fasting and so forth, because that really worked for me. And some people say that it doesn't work for them. But I mean, everybody has to figure out.
Well, you have to. It's trial and error. It always is trial and error. So for me, it was definitely something where I was working with a nutritionist, and I was told that I have to change the whole concept of eating lighter close to the evening. So basically everything that I would normally, you'd come home from work and you'd be like, I'm going to really indulge on a tasty dinner. Right. And then you have like 3 courses and whatnot. So everything changed. So basically my dinners are now my breakfast. So I can eat a slice of pizza and a piece of cake in the morning, but I can only have some kind of protein in the evening.
The way I look at it, you're going to kind of burn that off during the day anyway.
Well, that's the whole point. Yes, you're burning it all during the day. You have to do at least 10,000 steps to not be a decapitated person lying in bed. So you have to move. You really have to. And 10,000 steps is not that much. Turns out to be not that much.
No,
you can do it. I mean,
walking is the best, and that's the other thing my trainer said. One of the best exercises you can do. Don't worry about going to the gym. I know a lot of people can't go to the gym right now. Go out and walk. Don't and a lot of us are we're having to wear a mask outside. Most places, And I personally don't see how anyone does cardio or running or anything
with a mask on.
I mean, I don't know if it's not damaging for you to just sit there and be breathing this carbon monoxide when you're running, but walking, just getting your heart rate up is one of the best exercises you can do.
And I know that what we have, and we can put a link here to some top lists of companies that do meals. and maybe that will help, and somebody can look at and find something that's appropriate to them.
And please send us your recommendations.
Yeah, and
we
if you
wanna
know
hear from
something,
on things that work for you, and
both of
sharing
us.
those stories, because it's important for all of us to hear those stories, because we're all going through the same thing. And we're kind of all going through this together. So, with that,
with that being said, it was lovely being here with you guys, and lovely seeing you, Jamie.
Good to see you.
And we'll see you soon again.
thanks, guys.
Bye.
And subscribe.